The series begins in the future, after the destruction of the world as a result of World War III. We see June inside the home of Commander Waterford, one of the founders of the new state of Gilead, a state established by the Jews in place of America after World War III and the collapse of the world. June is wearing a red dress and a white bonnet when Serena, Waterford's wife, comes in to speak with her, explaining the rules of the house she must follow, and informing her that her name will be changed and that she will now be called Offred. At that moment, Waterford enters the room, and Serena continues speaking to June, warning her and making it clear that she is there for one purpose only, to bear a child for her husband, and that she should not let her thoughts go too far, because the relationship that will take place between her and her husband will be under Serena's supervision, and she will not allow them to be alone together. The story then flashes back in time, where we see June sitting with her friend Moira, telling her that she has been asked to write a new article and that she wants to focus carefully on it so it will impress her boss. We learn that June is a journalist and writer who is married for love to a man named Luke. One day, June meets Moira and tells her that she is pregnant, which makes Moira extremely happy, while June herself is very anxious, feeling that she may not be ready for such responsibility at the moment. Moira reassures her and tells her that she and Luke will stand by her and support her. The pregnancy passes peacefully, and June gives birth to a beautiful baby girl, whom she names Hannah. Years go by, and suddenly World War III breaks out. Chaos spreads across America, and protests erupt everywhere due to the Jews taking over the United States and establishing a new state called Gilead. We see June and Moira participating in the protests, which are suddenly met with gunfire from the forces of the Gilead army, who attack the demonstrators and open fire on them. After that, we see June in a car with her husband and their daughter Hannah, and we learn that they have decided to flee America to Canada because the army of Gilead has completely taken over the country and gained full control, abducting women without anyone knowing what happens to them, and also taking children away from their families. But suddenly, the forces of the new city start chasing them and open fire on the car they are in. Luke loses control of the vehicle. It swerves off the road and breaks down. At that moment, Luke gets out of the car and tells June to take Hannah and run, to escape as fast as she can. June runs with Hannah, but suddenly she hears a large number of gunshots and becomes terrified that Luke may have been shot. Soon after, she senses that the forces are getting closer, so she hides with her daughter until they pass. When she tries to move again and continue escaping, the forces are still there, and they manage to capture her. Tragically, they take Hannah away from her. After that, June finds herself in a strange building where an elderly woman named Aunt Lydia is standing and speaking, instructing many girls sitting in front of her. All the girls are wearing red robes and white bonnets, and June is shocked when she realizes that her friend Moira is among them, dressed the same way. June goes to sit in her place in silence, stunned by what is happening and unable to understand anything. She then hears Aunt Lydia telling them that the world was destroyed because women misused their fertility in immoral relationships, and that their fertility should instead be used for the leaders of the new state. Aunt Lydia explains that they are there to offer their wombs to the wives of commanders who cannot have children, because infertility has suddenly spread across the world, which she claims is God's punishment for their actions. Only a very small group of women remains fertile and capable of bearing children, and that is why they are there, to provide this service to the new state and its leaders. Janine, one of the girls sitting there, mocks her, so Aunt Lydia approaches her, shocks her with the electric cattle prod she is carrying, and orders the guards to take her away to be punished. Later, at bedtime, Moira and June talk quietly, and June tells her that Hannah was taken from her and that she does not know where she is. Moira warns her not to let anyone know that they are friends or that they know each other. Suddenly, the guards enter with Janine, and June and Moira notice that one of Janine's eyes is bandaged. June asks Moira what happened to her, and Moira tells her that they removed Janine's right eye as punishment. June is shocked by what she hears. The story then returns to the present, where June is standing with Rita, the household servant responsible for the kitchen, handing her the paper currency of the new state so she can buy Commander Waterford's supplies from the market. As June leaves the house, she meets Nick, Commander Waterford's personal driver, and when he realizes she is going to the market, he gives her a few tips on how to choose fresh goods. At the gate, June finds Ofglin waiting for her, and we learn that Ofglin is one of the other women assigned for pregnancy and childbirth like June, serving a different commander and a different household. On their way, June sees a group of children, which immediately reminds her of her daughter Hannah and fills her with deep sadness. They then arrive at the market, where they meet two women like them, one of whom is named Brianna. Brianna envies June because she is able to buy good, fresh items easily, simply because she serves in the household of a high-ranking commander. Later, on the road, June and Ovglin see three men hanging on the wall, with armed forces standing beside them. They were executed for opposing the leaders of the new state and breaking its rules. When June returns home, she begins preparing herself for the ceremony. She goes into the bathroom to bathe, then comes out, puts on her assigned clothing, and goes to the room where Commander Waterford will come to her. Serena enters with her husband, Waterford, because the act that will take place between them must happen under her supervision and watchful eye. June endures the ordeal in complete silence. When the ceremony ends, Serena orders June out of the room. That night, June cannot sleep and feels suffocated, so she decides to leave her room and go down to the garden, trying to gather her strength and calm herself so she will not be punished. The next morning, she looks at Nick through the window and feels anxious about him because he saw her in the garden the night before, and she fears he might report her. Later, there is a gathering of all the women like her, and during it, June hears the others saying that Moira has died while attempting to escape. At that moment, June is completely devastated by the news. At that moment, Aunt Lydia stands up and speaks to them about the reason for their gathering that day. She explains that it is to punish a young man who assaulted one of them while she was pregnant, causing the death of the baby in her womb. She reminds them that the punishment for the attacker is death and orders them to remove the bonnets from their heads and form a circle around the young man, beating him until his life ends. June is at the front, striking him violently, overwhelmed by rage, grief, and oppression. Afterward, June returns home, and on the way, Ovglin warns her that there is an eye inside her household watching her and that she must be careful. June becomes tense and frightened, goes up to her room, and promises herself that she will endure and remain patient until she reaches her daughter Hannah and her husband Luke. The next day, June goes to the market with Ovglin as usual. This time, on the way, Ovglin talks and tells June about her life. As they walk, they see a church being demolished, which deeply upsets them because it is an ancient church with a long history. After that, Ovglin confesses to June that she is planning to escape with a group of women, that they have formed a secret network, and she asks June to join them, explaining that June would be extremely important to their cause because she serves in the household of the high-ranking Commander Waterford. June becomes very anxious and remains silent. When June returns home, she is surprised to find Nick warning her about Ovglin, telling her not to talk to her too much because it is dangerous. He also informs her that the commander wants to see her in his office that night at 9 o'clock. June becomes terrified and deeply worried because this is the first time the commander has asked to see her alone outside of the ceremony. Soon after, a birth van arrives to take all the women to Janine, who is in labor. According to the rules, they must all be present during the delivery. There, they find Janine with Aunt Lydia, suffering intensely from labor pains. June approaches her and reassures her that it will be easy and that everything will be fine. Later, June is alone with Ovglin and tells her that Waterford wants to see her alone in his office that night. Ovglin is surprised, but reassures June and tells her to try to find out the reason. June returns again to Janine, whose condition has become extremely difficult. Suddenly, Serena enters with the rest of the wives, all of them dressed in green. According to the rules, they make the commander's wife, for whom Janine is giving birth, sit behind her and act out the pain as if she herself were the one giving birth. Janine gives birth to a baby girl, but her heart breaks as she watches them take the child from her to give her to the commander's wife. June hugs Janine to comfort her and calm her down. On the way back, Ovglin tells June that she tried to ask around and look for a reason why Waterford might want to see her, but she couldn't find anything. She warns her that if he accuses her of anything, she should apologize immediately. That night, when the clock strikes 9, June walks toward Waterford's office with unsteady steps, overwhelmed by fear and anxiety. As soon as she enters, Waterford asks her to sit down. He takes a game out of a drawer and asks her to play with him. June is surprised, but she follows his request and plays along. Waterford is impressed by June's intelligence and tells her that they will play many times together. When June returns to her room, she breaks down in tears, then suddenly starts laughing, overwhelmed by the intense tension and fear she had been under, which turns turned out to be unnecessary. It becomes clear that the commander is interested in her. The next morning, June heads to the market as usual, but this time she is surprised to find that a different woman will be accompanying her instead of Ofglin. She is then shocked when the woman tells her that her name is Ofglin and that she has taken the place and the name of the woman who came before her. At the same time, we see the real Ofglin being arrested and taken to prison after they discover that she was running a network against the new state. When June returns home, she is surprised by Rita's behavior toward her, as Rita prepares food for her and treats her kindly, which is not how she usually treats June. Rita then explains that these are Serena's orders, because she suspects that June might be pregnant. After that, Serena arrives and takes June with her to Naomi's house. There, Naomi tells Serena and the other wives that Janine bit her, and that as soon as the baby finishes the breastfeeding period, she plans to throw Janine out of the house. June goes to Janine, sits with her, and warns her not to bite Naomi again because that would put her life in serious danger. But Janine tells her that she can do whatever she wants because her commander has fallen in love with her. June is shocked and can hardly believe it, but Janine confirms what she is saying and tells her that he promised they would escape together. After that, Serena asks June to return home with Nick because she is going to stay a little longer. On the way, June is suddenly surprised when Nick asks her to forgive him and then hands her over to members of the city's special forces. June is taken to sit with one of them, with Aunt Lydia present. They suspect that June is an accomplice of Ofglin since they used to go to the market together every day, which means she must know a lot of information about her. June remains silent and insists that she knows nothing about Ofglin. Aunt Lydia then tortures her with an electric cattle prod. At that moment, Serena storms in, argues with them, and orders them to leave, furious that they are torturing June while she is pregnant. She defends June and tries to calm her down. Later, Nick goes to June's room to check on her. He gets very close to her, and it becomes clear that he is attracted to her. June spends the entire night terrified and anxious because she has discovered that she is not actually pregnant, and she fears Serena's reaction when she finds out. The next morning, June decides to go to Serena and tell her the truth. Serena is shocked by the news and completely breaks down in rage at June, ordering her back to her room to remain locked inside all day. Meanwhile, Ofglin finds herself in the hospital where Aunt Lydia enters and tells her that they have removed her uterus so that she will never be able to have children again, calling it the best possible punishment for a traitor like her. 13 days pass with June in the same condition, confined to her room and never leaving it. When Rita comes in with food, she is startled and drops the tray from her hands because she sees June lying on the floor and thinks she has died or fainted. June reassures her and tells her that she is fine. When Rita goes downstairs to Serena and Waterford, she tells them what happened and explains that June needs to see a doctor. June gets ready and feels happy that she will finally be able to leave the house and see the street again. Serena then comes in and informs her that the car taking her to the doctor is ready. June is upset and asks Serena to let her walk to the doctor instead, but Serena refuses, and June is forced to obey. She gets into the car with Nick. When they arrive at the clinic, June sits waiting for her turn. Once she enters the doctor's office, he asks her whether the commander and his wife treat her well. June becomes tense because of the question, and even though the doctor reassures her that anything she says will remain confidential between them, June chooses to stay silent so she will not put herself in danger. On the way back, she thinks about her daughter, and out of grief, she breaks down crying, unable to control herself. Nick is deeply affected by her pain. When she returns home, June goes to Serena and tells her that the doctor said she is suffering from dehydration. She tries to apologize for failing to become pregnant and promises that she will do everything she can to make the pregnancy succeed next time. She begs Serena not to lock her in the room again. However, Serena ignores every word June says and orders her to return to her room and not come out. June becomes extremely upset. After a while, June gets ready and goes to the commander's room for the ceremony. She is surprised when Waterford arrives earlier than expected, before his wife, Serena, comes in. He moves closer to June and tells her that he decided to come early just to see her and say hello, because it has been a long time since he last saw her. He agrees with her that she should come to his office at 9 p.m. so they can play together again. At that moment, Serena enters and is surprised to find that Waterford arrived before her. After the ceremony ends, Serena orders June to return to her room. When the clock reaches 9, June goes to Waterford's office, and they sit and play together. At that point, June decides to ask him about the woman who was there before her. Waterford tells her that the previous handmaid took her own life and killed herself in that room. Waterford admits to June that he is trying to pay attention to her and spend time playing with her so that she will not end her life as well. June takes advantage of this and asks him to allow her to go out again because Serena is determined to keep her locked in her room, and many times she is forced to think about ending her own life. The next morning, we see June outside, and we learn that Waterford has freed her and allowed her to leave the house. June is extremely happy, and when she notices Serena watching her from the window, she deliberately looks back at her with defiance, without fear or weakness. That night, June goes again at 9 p.m. to Waterford's office, and they play the same game they always play together. This time, however, June is completely comfortable with Waterford, no longer afraid or tense. When they finish playing, Waterford gets up, takes a magazine out of his desk drawer, and gives it to June. June is shocked that he has a magazine, because since the creation of the new state, all magazines have been burned, and it is forbidden for anyone to own or read them. Waterford tells her that some magazines still exist with the commanders, kept as souvenirs that remind them of their success in establishing the new state. He reassures her that he has allowed her to read it, and that no one will be able to punish her for it. June thanks him deeply, but Waterford surprises her by admitting that he did this just to see her smile, because he loves her. At that moment, June becomes certain that Waterford has fallen in love with her. The next day, June is in the kitchen having breakfast with Rita and Nick when Serena enters and tells June that she wants to speak with her. June becomes tense, fearing that Serena has discovered something about what is happening between her and her husband. However, Serena shocks her with a very strange request, telling her that she wants June to have a relationship with Nick because she suspects that Waterford may be infertile and wants to confirm it. She warns June that this matter must remain strictly secret. After that, June goes to the market as usual, and there she is surprised to see Ofglin has returned. Ofglin avoids speaking to anyone, and when June approaches her to talk, it becomes clear that Ofglin is terrified to say a single word. June returns home, and Serena comes in to take her and bring her to Nick, just as they had agreed. At that moment, June feels overwhelming oppression and humiliation consuming her, but she is unable to speak up or refuse. That night, it is time for the ceremony, and Waterford's looks clearly reveal that he has feelings for June. Afterward, June goes to his office, feeling extremely upset and angry because she is terrified that Serena might notice that there is something between her and Waterford, which would mean her fate would be either death or lifelong torture. Waterford tries to calm her down and tells her that they are not heartless, pointing out that they allowed Ofglin to stay alive after her betrayal, but punished her in a way she would remember for the rest of her life. June breaks down at that point and asks Waterford to let her leave. She feels very unwell and just wants to go back. Nick sees her then and asks if she is okay, but finds her crying and completely shattered. He apologizes to her for what happened between them and tells her that he could not refuse Serena's request. June asks him if he is the eye who has been watching her in the house, and from his silence, she understands that he is indeed the eye Ofglin had warned her about. The next morning, June goes to the market where she sees Ofglin and tells her that she knows what they did to her. Ofglin tells June that she must find Mayday because they will help her. Suddenly, Ofglin steals one of the security vehicles and starts driving it around joyfully because it has been a long time since she has done anything she truly enjoyed. When one of the guards stops her and orders her to get out of the vehicle, she decides in a moment of rage to run him over and end his life. The forces immediately attack her and arrest her. That night, June decides to go to Nick and tells him that she is attracted to him. Nick clearly returns the same feelings, and they move closer to each other. The next morning, all the women are gathered together to clean the walls of the blood from the bodies of those who were executed, because visitors are coming from Mexico to see the new state, and everything must look perfect in front of them. When June returns home, she takes a shower and gets ready because Waterford will be receiving the visitors at his house. Serena calls for her and personally checks her cleanliness, warning her to answer wisely and politely when speaking to the visitors, since they will surely be curious and ask her many questions. When the visitors arrive, June comes downstairs and stands beside Nick, gently moving closer and holding his hand. At that moment, Waterford asks Nick to bring June in, because the visitors want to see her. When June enters the room, they are impressed by her and begin asking whether she chose, of her own free will, to offer herself for pregnancy and childbirth for the commanders. June becomes tense and is forced to give the ideal answer, telling them that she chose this path herself because it is a noble act. The ambassador then steps closer and asks her if she is happy with the life she chose, since what she does is extremely difficult and not every woman could accept it. At that moment, June feels like screaming and telling them that she is not happy and that she needs help, but fear holds her back. She stays silent, then answers the ambassador with a smile, saying that she has never been as happy as she is now. Later, the ambassador sits with the commander's wives and expresses her surprise at the change in Serena, who was once an independent writer defending women's rights and is now part of a state that forbids women from participating in anything, even banning women from reading and writing. Serena becomes very tense and replies that she sacrificed for her faith and for the state of Gilead, and that she is proud of the change that happened to her, claiming she had been misguided before. After the visitors leave, Waterford argues with Serena about what happened, blaming her because she was the one who insisted on inviting the ambassador. Later, Waterford meets June in his office. He is still upset and angry about the ambassador and tells June that half the population of Mexico is suffering from food shortages, with many people living in famine, yet they criticize Gilead's system and progress. When he notices that June is not interested in what he is saying, he tells her to leave. June, however, tells him that she wants to spend the night with him. He agrees, but on the condition that she enter into a relationship with him. June becomes tense and agrees against her will, but as soon as she approaches Waterford, he suddenly tells her to go back to her room and sleep. June is left completely shocked. The next day, June goes with all the women to the celebration hall as the state is holding a welcoming ceremony for the Mexican visitors. Serena arrives and looks over the women one by one, then asks Aunt Lydia to exclude the injured women from the event so no one will see them. Aunt Lydia responds that those women were injured because they sinned and that they now deserve to attend the celebration just like everyone else, and that there should be no discrimination. However, Serena insists on preventing them from attending. When Aunt Lydia informs the injured women that they will not be attending the ceremony, Janine breaks down in tears because she was happy that she would finally be treated like a human being, even if only for one day, and get to attend a celebration. Aunt Lydia comforts her and promises that she will bring them special food and desserts and that they will act as if they are part of the celebration. Janine calms down and becomes happy. When the women enter the celebration hall, they are amazed by its beauty. Serena then stands up, welcomes the visitors, and speaks about the state of Gilead, explaining how they managed to achieve morality, progress, and rebuild an ideal society. She presents the children born by the handmaids to the commanders, and at that moment, every woman feels deep sorrow when she sees her son or daughter because the children do not know who their real mothers are. At that point, one of the women tells June that the visitors are there because the state has decided to trade the handmaids and sell them to other countries in order to profit from them and spread the commander's service system everywhere. June is horrified by this revelation. After the celebration ends, she goes to Nick, completely broken and full of regret, devastated that she did not tell the ambassador and the visitors the truth, that she is being raped every day and living a completely inhumane life. Nick tells her that she could not have spoken and tries to calm her down. The next morning, June finds the ambassador coming to visit her, bringing her a gift as a gesture of appreciation for her loyalty and sacrifice, and thanking her for helping her understand the system. June finally breaks her silence and tells the ambassador that she lied to her, explaining that the system in the state of Gilead is brutal and inhumane, and that she and the other women are nothing but prisoners who are raped every day so they can become pregnant and give birth. She makes it clear that all of this happens without their consent, because if they refuse or try to escape, they are either killed or tortured until their lives are completely destroyed. She also tells her that if a woman is caught reading, she is punished severely, and sometimes something even worse happens, such as having her eyes removed entirely so she can never see again for the rest of her life. The ambassador is shocked by what she hears from June and tells her with deep sadness and regret that she cannot help them and that she is forced to accept the exchange deal because the infertility epidemic has caused her country not to have a single child born in 6 years. Her country is collapsing, and she has no choice but to rebuild it. At that moment, Waterford arrives, and the ambassador tells him that she was saying goodbye to June and giving her a gift. She then informs him that she wants to meet Serena as well to give her a gift too. After that, the ambassador's assistant tells June that he knows Luke, her husband, and reassures her that he is still alive and did not die from the gunshot. He tells her that Luke has been searching for her and that he has messages from Luke for her. To gain her trust and reassure her, he mentions personal details about her and Luke, then gives her a piece of paper and a pen so she can write anything she wants to send to Luke. June stands there in complete shock, unable to believe what she is hearing. The story then flashes back to the moment when Luke was shot by the forces. He is lying on the ground, seeing memories of his wife June and his daughter Hannah in front of him. A military ambulance arrives and takes Luke, but suddenly the ambulance crashes and flips over. Everyone inside the vehicle dies except for Luke. He takes medication from the ambulance, along with jackets and weapons belonging to the soldiers, and gets out of the wrecked vehicle. He walks for a long time without finding anyone to help him, until he suddenly finds Hannah's toy and her shoe in front of him. At that moment, he realizes that something terrible has happened to June and Hannah. Luke continues on his way, hoping to find someone who can help him. Eventually, he comes across an abandoned house and goes inside to rest. After a while, a group of armed people attack him, believing he is one of the forces of the new state. Luke tries to explain to them that he is just an ordinary person like them on the run, and tells them that the forces took his wife and daughter, and that he was shot by them. A woman named Zoe approaches him, notices his wound, believes his story, and decides that they should take him with them and help him. In the car, while they are on the road, they remove the bullet and treat his wound. Luke thanks them for helping him. After some time, he asks them about the route they are taking, and they tell him that it leads to Canada. Luke says that he cannot go to Canada right now and needs to get out, but Zoe calms him down and tells him they cannot stop at the moment. When Luke insists that they stop the car, Zoe threatens him with a gun. The next morning, once they reach a safe area, they allow Luke to leave. However, Zoe takes him to a place where a group of people are hanging, explaining that they were executed for trying to escape from the new state, and making it clear to him how dangerous the situation is and that anyone who opposes them is killed. After that, we see Luke continuing the journey with them, deciding to go to Canada, because from there he can search for June and his daughter and find information about them. He realizes that if he continues alone, his fate will be death. As soon as they board the boat that will take them to Canada, the forces attack them and open fire. Unfortunately, Zoe is shot and does not make it onto the boat, and her life comes to an end. The story then returns to the present, where we see Luke in Canada receiving a phone call from the American office there, informing him that they want to see him regarding his wife, June. He rushes there, where he meets one of the officials who tells him that a Mexican contact recognized June after seeing her because they had published her photo among the missing and mentioned that her husband Luke was searching for her. When the contact saw her, he recognized her, told her that he had a connection with them, and asked her to write Luke a letter so he could be reassured. The official hands Luke the envelope and leaves him alone to read the letter. At that moment, Luke is overjoyed, almost flying with happiness, because he has finally received reassurance about June and his daughter. We learn that in her letter, June wrote to him that he must save Hannah and search for her. Later, June returns to her room and is shocked to find Waterford sitting there waiting for her. He has brought makeup and a mirror so she can change her appearance and put on makeup like any other woman. He then surprises her by revealing that he has also brought her an evening dress and high-heeled shoes, and asks her to put them on and get ready. When he sees her after she is dressed and prepared, he is completely amazed by her beauty. He tells her that they are going out together for the night, reassuring her that Serena is not at home and will not know they left because she is visiting her mother and will be staying with her. On the way, Waterford asks June to lower her head so that none of the guards at the border will see her, since women are forbidden from leaving the city limits, even for a single step. They arrive at a strange place that looks abandoned. Waterford puts diamond earrings on June, and they walk together until they reach a bar called Jezebels, where commanders, diplomats, and high-ranking officials are sitting with prostitutes. June is shocked that a place like this exists because they always claim that the new state is religious and that anyone who strays from that path is executed. June asks Waterford how it is allowed for the women there to be prostitutes, and he tells her that those women chose this life instead of becoming handmaids who bear children for the commanders. June is then stunned when she sees Moira among the women. She cannot believe that Moira is still alive, especially since everyone said she had been killed. June asks Waterford for permission to go to the bathroom, and there she meets Moira. They hug, and June tells her she cannot believe she is still alive. Moira apologizes for everything happening so suddenly and for not being able to tell her before. She warns June that she must leave immediately before anyone sees them talking together, and tells her the place where she can always be found. June returns to Waterford and discovers that he has booked a room for them to stay in. At that time, Nick is standing at a distance watching them, remembering the handmaid who served Waterford before June and the day he found her dead in the room after she took her own life. Later that night, when Waterford falls asleep, June sneaks out of the room and goes to Moira. Moira tells her that someone once tried to help her escape, but the forces caught him and killed him, and that she suddenly found herself here, turned into one of the prostitutes. Moira tells June to completely forget the idea of escaping if she is still thinking about it, because no one can escape from Gilead. June hugs her and tells her that one day they will escape together, no matter what. When Waterford wakes up, he takes June and they get into the car to return home before Serena comes back. As soon as Serena returns, Waterford greets her and asks about her mother's condition. After that, June becomes confused by the way Nick treats her, because he completely ignores her. She tries to talk to him, but he remains silent and does not respond. June tells him that she needs to know anything about him and that he must help her and help himself so they can escape from there. She also admits to him that she entered into a relationship with him because she wanted someone to remember her if her life ended, even if what happened was a mistake. Later, Serena goes to June and gives her a gift she brought for her. June is surprised by Serena's behavior toward her. The next day, Janine hands over her baby to her commander and his wife and completely gives the child up because the rules state that once the breastfeeding period ends, the baby must be given to the commander and forgotten. Janine is devastated and heartbroken over being separated from her daughter. She takes her bag and says goodbye to the other women who are standing at the door watching her. After that, June approaches another handmaid named Alma and asks her to join Mayday with them. Alma becomes tense and tells June that she has no idea what she is talking about. Aunt Lydia then takes Janine to the house of another commander named Daniel, who lives with his wife somewhat far away from the others. At that time, Naomi is out with Serena, telling her that she has finally weaned the baby and gotten rid of Janine because she was very annoying. Serena replies that they should be grateful for the existence of these women because without them, they would not have children. Later, Alma goes to June and gives her an envelope to deliver at Jezebels to a woman named Rachel. She warns her that if she truly wants to be part of Mayday, she has to be extremely careful about everything around her so she does not get exposed. That night, June goes to Waterford and pretends that she was very happy with him at Jezebels, hoping he will take her there again. Her plan works, and he tells her they will go there that night, leaving once the house is quiet and everyone is asleep, especially Serena. June is overjoyed that her plan succeeded and that she will be able to deliver the envelope Alma gave her that very night. She goes to her room to get dressed and ready, then leaves with Waterford in the car, with Nick driving. When they arrive, Waterford surprises June by bringing Moira to sit with her. He tells her that he noticed last time she went to the bathroom after Moira and realized they were friends, and he warns June not to lie to him again. He then leaves them alone and walks away. Moira is furious when she finds out from June that she is there to deliver an envelope Alma gave her. She looks for Rachel and argues with June, telling her that what she is doing is extremely dangerous and could get her killed. June tries to calm her down and asks her to help her find Rachel, but Moira completely refuses to help. After that, Waterford and June return home, where they are surprised to find that Serena has woken up. She is suspicious about why he returned home late, and he tells her that he was working. The next morning, Serena rushes to June, wakes her up, and orders her to get dressed quickly. They go downstairs together and head to the bridge. There, June is shocked to find Janine holding her baby and trying to end both their lives. Aunt Lydia asks June to calm Janine down and convince her to abandon her decision. June approaches Janine and speaks to her gently, telling her that all of this will end one day, that she must be patient and endure, and that the day will come when they escape together and return to their normal lives. But Janine is consumed only by the desire to end her life, to free herself from the suffering and pain she endures every day. She decides to hand her baby to June, entrusting her with the child, and then throws herself off the bridge to end her life. June stands there in shock at what just happened. Later, we see Janine in intensive care with Aunt Lydia, and we learn that she is still alive. After that, June goes to the market, where the butcher tells her that he prepared the meat especially for Commander Waterford. When he hands it to her, she finds an envelope with it. She becomes very tense and realizes that someone has sent her a message through the butcher. When she opens the envelope, she discovers that it is from Moira, and she feels relieved and happy. At the same time, Moira is with one of her clients and decides to kill him and escape. When June returns home, she hides the envelope behind the bathtub. Suddenly, Serena attacks her and starts beating her, holding the dress that Waterford gave June to wear when they went out together. June realizes that Serena has discovered the relationship between her and her husband. Serena gives June a pregnancy test and orders her to take it. When June finishes the test, Serena takes it from her and sits in front of it, praying desperately for it to be positive. When the result appears, Serena is overjoyed because it is positive and June is pregnant. After that, Serena goes to sit in Waterford's office and waits for him to return. When Waterford enters, he is surprised to find Serena there. She tells him that she knows everything and demands that he stay away from June so she does not end her life like the woman before her. She then tells him that June is pregnant, but that the baby is not his because he is weak and unable to have children. The next morning, Rita prepares breakfast for June, and Nick notices the bruises on her face and asks her what happened. June tells him that Serena found out about the relationship between her and Waterford, that they went out together, and that Serena forced her to take a pregnancy test, which came back positive. Nick moves closer to her and gently places his hand on her stomach. At that moment, Serena arrives and tells June that they have an outing together. On the way, Serena suddenly orders the driver to stop. She gets out of the car, leaves June inside, and tells the driver to lock the car and not let June out, no matter what happens. When June looks out the window to see where Serena went, she is horrified to see her sitting with her daughter Hannah. June desperately tries to open the car door, but it is locked. She screams and begs the driver to let her out so she can go to her daughter. When Serena returns to the car, June pleads with her to let her get out and see Hannah, but Serena coldly tells her that as long as the baby in her womb is safe and protected, she will also keep Hannah safe. June completely breaks down, losing control for the first time. She curses Serena, tells her to burn in hell, and calls her a twisted, sick, sadistic person. That night, June goes to Waterford's office, closes the door behind her, and begs him to protect Hannah from Serena. Waterford tells her that Serena would never harm anyone, and then asks her if the baby she is carrying is his. June becomes tense and says that of course it is his, because she has not been with anyone else. When June returns to her room, she goes into the bathroom and retrieves the envelope she hid behind the bathtub. When she opens it, she is shocked to find many letters inside, written by women like her, each describing her story, what happened to her, and the pain she endured. The next day, Moira successfully escapes to Canada. When she arrives, she is given a new identity and money to live on. For the first time, she feels that she can return to a normal life. When she meets Luke, she hugs him tightly, crying with joy that she has seen him again. Later, Waterford goes to Serena as she is preparing the nursery, trying to calm her down and reconcile with her. Meanwhile, June and the other women are gathered together. Aunt Lydia stands before them and tells them to pick up the stones in front of them because they are going to stone Janine to death as punishment for a mother who tried to kill her child. The women are shocked when they see Janine standing in front of them because they believed she had died when she tried to kill herself. One of the women protests and says she will never kill Janine, and a guard immediately strikes her. Aunt Lydia shouts at the women to obey orders without resistance, wiping away her tears as she speaks, clearly forced to carry out something she does not agree with herself. June steps forward and refuses. When one of the guards approaches her to kill her, Aunt Lydia stops him. June throws the stone from her hand onto the ground in front of everyone and stands bravely, declaring that she will not take Janine's life. Inspired by June, all the women follow her lead and refuse to stone Janine. Aunt Lydia orders them to return to their homes and prepare for severe punishment. When June returns home, she sits waiting for the punishment that will come. At that moment, Nick enters with armed guards. They arrest June and take her away as she says goodbye to Rita, telling her that there is an envelope hidden behind the bathtub. When Serena and Waterford see the guards taking June away under arrest, they are both shocked. Waterford declares that he will not let this go because he is the High Commander. June remains silent and compliant as she is taken away, her mind racing, wondering what her fate will be.